In a comedic tour de force destined to obliterate any remaining shreds of credibility clinging to the Duchess of Sussex's perpetually raised reputation, late-night titan Jimmy Kimmel unleashed a furious torrent of unrestrained roasting mockery upon Meghan Markle after her latest foolish miscalculation accompanying Prince Harry to the 2024 Invictus Games in Germany. Despite advisors reportedly warning the disgraced royal to avoid these Paralympic-style competitions honoring wounded service members due to potential backlash from disgusted veterans, Markle's typical delusional hubris instead deludedly convinced herself she'd garner wild applause and celebration as inspiring humanitarian nobility alongside her embattled husband. Instead, after proudly parading around Berlin's Olympic Stadium's opening ceremonies garnering instant thunderous boos drowning out all other noise, a cackling Kimmel dedicated his entire ABC broadcast to an epically scathing roast skinning the oblivious Duchess alive for desperately craving perpetually unearned admiration through malignant narcissist delusions manifesting as perpetual tone-deaf humiliation spirals. The unrelenting torrent of mockery began barely seconds after Kimmel's staple opening monologue following that evening's jarring viral footage depicting Markle and Prince Harry exiting their chauffeured SUV at Berlin's iconic Olympic Stadium amidst swarms of frenzied German and British Union Jack-waving fans. Upon spotting the disgraced Duchess imperiously waving and thrusting her chin outwards in expectation of wild adulation, viewers worldwide watched the stunned couple instantly inundated by thunderous deafening boos reverberating from virtually every spectator upon recognizing their arrival. Wow wow wow, just, holy free-hole, what was going through that intensely insane grifter's unbelievably warped brain considering any conceivable intelligent sentient being could witness her arrival at a hallowed military event honoring wounded veterans and assume she'd receive anything besides some of the most unrestrained hostile condemnation imaginable. Kimmel opened donning a novelty, the petty Duchess foam crown. The late-night comedian commenced unleashing volley after volley methodically eviscerating Meghan's ego down to the subatomic microparticle, relentlessly mocking her ill-conceived arrival replete with enthusiastic waving amidst flag-waving crowds clearly under the delusional assumption rowdy cheers greeted her arrival. Kimmel incredulously questioned whether Markle's perpetual tone-deaf miscalculations stemmed from legitimate untreated mental disorders, narcissistic personality complexes, or perhaps just the willful delusion of a shameless grifting Arivista more concerned with self-promoting, fictional delusions of grandeur than accurately comprehending objective reality. So just to get this straight, a 40-something former D-list cable actress who's achieved absolutely zero meritorious cultural impact besides unconvincingly scheming into peripherally adjacent British royal relevance, then using that unearned adjacency clout to monetize unhinged delusions into this woke lectures racket. This deeply unserious person tried inserting herself as some unwanted sanctimonious celebrity into an inspirational event intended honoring legitimate war heroes and their trauma sacrifices. Kimmel sputtered to raucous laughter. Transitioning into full-fledged eviscerating roast mode likening Markle to an entitled spoiled brat, Kimmel's incinerating barrage only intensified plowing through merciless comparisons to real-life humanitarians and skewering the Duchess as a delusional, self-aggrandizing fraud desperately craving fame and attention she never earned through actual virtuous acts or accomplishments. The withering roast represented one of Kimmel's most vicious and unrestrained lashings in recent memory, clearly tapping into widespread public disdain for Markle's consistently tactless and tone-deaf behavior. According to the story, the public reaction to Jimmy Kimmel's blistering roast of Meghan Markle on his late-night show was overwhelmingly positive and supportive. A few key details. The roast is described as a comedic tour de force destined to obliterate any remaining shreds of credibility clinging to the Duchess of Sussex's perpetually raised reputation. Kimmel dedicated his entire ABC broadcast to an epically scathing roast skinning the oblivious Duchess alive for her delusional belief that she would be celebrated at the Invictus Games. His mockery and insults toward Markle were met with raucous laughter from the audience, indicating the public approved of his harsh ridicule. The story states it was one of Kimmel's most vicious and unrestrained lashings in recent memory, clearly tapping into widespread public disdain for Markle's consistently tactless and tone-deaf behavior. So based on these details provided in the passage, the public reaction is portrayed as being highly enthusiastic and supportive of Kimmel's brutal roasting and evisceration of Meghan Markle. His mocking jokes and disrespectful insults toward the Duchess struck a chord with widespread negative sentiments about her from the general public. The raucous laughter and it being called a tour de force suggest his scathing roast was extremely well received by audiences. The story provides several examples of specific jokes and insults that Jimmy Kimmel made while brutally roasting Meghan Markle on his late-night show. He opened by donning a novelty, the Petty Duchess foam crown, as a mocking reference to Markle. Kimmel called her that intensely insane grifter, with an unbelievably warped brain, for expecting adulation instead of booze at the Invictus Games event honoring veterans. He questioned if her tone-deaf miscalculations stemmed from legitimate untreated mental disorders, or being a shameless grifting arrivista, consumed with fictional delusions of grandeur. Kimmel mocked her as a 40-something former D-list cable actress who's achieved absolutely zero meritorious cultural impact. He said she has unconvincingly schemed into peripherally adjacent British royal relevance, only to monetize her unhinged delusions into this woke lectures racket. Kimmel likened Markle to an entitled spoiled brat, while asking, "What's the matter, Meghan? Weren't you showered with enough attention at recess playdates or something?" He skewered her as a delusional, self-aggrandizing fraud desperately craving fame and attention she never earned through actual virtuous acts or accomplishments.